Certainty of death, small chance of success. What are we waiting for?
Fellas, I feel this is my lucky day.
Brilliant.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of Rankin. We're here for another animated one. It's top of animated movies of the 90s, just going back in decades. And joining us, we've got Jay. Jay, how's it going?
It's going, man. I'm glad to be here. All of us obviously have lists. We all love movies. I can't wait to see what everybody has brought to the table.
Also, here we've got Richard. Richard, how's it going?
It's going good. I definitely love 90s movies because as a 90s kid, I remember a lot of them, and I have a good number of lists, so I hope some of my suggestions get on here, and I'm looking forward to other people's suggestions.
And last but not least, we've got Brandon. Brandon, how's it going?
It's going good. Been enjoying this Thanksgiving 4-day weekend, and been looking forward to putting together this top 12 list with these fine gentlemen, aficionados of the 90s animated films. So let's go.
But with that being said, how Rankin works is we're going to go around in a panel and each nominate a movie we think belongs on a top 12 list. Because it's only 4 of us here today, person nominating is they're just going to be nominated. It's going to come down to the other 3 whether it makes the list or not. And I'm going to go to Jay first. Jay, what is the first movie you're going to bring up?
There are so many here that I want to put up, but I want to put one that I think won't have a chance later on. But my movie came out in 1997 and wasn't nominated for an Oscar because the Oscar that it should have won didn't exist yet. I'm going with the background behind me. I'm going with Princess Mononoke as my first nomination for Best Animated Movies of the 90s. This movie is what Ferngully the Last Rainforest wishes it could be. It honestly, it is. Like they're very similar. They're very similar in tone, but not quality. This is the movie that warns against industrialization, and I think a much better way. And it lays out both stories from Lady Eboshi's perspective and San's perspective really well. This movie is emotional. This movie is just great, hands down, and it's probably one of the best Studio Ghibli films ever made, and it is one of the best films of the 90s, regardless of animation or not. But we are talking animated, and it's the reason why I bring it up first and foremost. Let's just get it out the way before it gets voted down at number, when we have 12 when we have 11 on the list.
Richard, what do you say about Princess Mononoke?
I've only seen one Studio Ghibli, and that one came out in '89. It was Kiki's Delivery Service, so I haven't seen it. So I believe in Jay. So even though I have not seen it, I'll say yes. But I haven't seen it.
Brandon, what do you say about Princess Mononoke?
Well, first of all, Jay, good strategy. Princess Mononoke,
I know how to play the game.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not super familiar with Studio Ghibli films, but I know of them at least enough to the point where I can comfortably say yes to Princess Mononoke.
Yeah, this is an easy yes for me. It's not one of my favorite Ghibli movies, but
It's okay to be wrong, Malcolm. I'm kidding.
Hey, it's still a 5-star movie for me. So,
That's fair. That's fair.
That being said, it still was going to be yes for me because I'll be a fool to say no. So it's an okay to Princess Mononoke.
I see what you did.
So, Richard, we're going to go to you next. What is the next movie you're going to bring up?
My first nomination is a movie I enjoyed as a kid, but as I got older, I love this movie even more. It's like dark. It's really good. It kind of reminds me of an animated version of E.T. I'm going with The Iron Giant. I am Superman. believe that's 90s. So yeah, it was such a good movie.
99.
And it's, non-Disney, and I think it still holds up today. It has emotional moments, dark moments, funny moments, and just overall, I think it's such a good movie. It should definitely be on the top 12.
Brandon, what do you say about the Iron Giant?
So Iron Giant actually did not make my list. It was not one of my favorites. However, it is really hard to deny just how good of a movie it is. So based on that, I'm gonna give a slight yes to the Iron Giant.
Yeah, I mean, Iron Giant is one of those ones that I do enjoy. I don't connect to it as much as I did, but that's only because I only saw it for the first time a couple of years ago. So, but I mean, like on my personal list, it's still in the zone. I don't have a problem saying yes to, so I'm going to say yes. Jay, what would you have said about the Iron Giant?
If you don't cry at "I Am Superman" at the end of that movie, did you even have a childhood? Like this was on my list. This one actually made my list. I absolutely adore the Iron Giant. I think it's probably one of the better non-Disney movies that were made that had been made in the 90s. Plus the voice cast is amazing in this too. Like honestly, you've got you got John Mahoney, you've got Shooter McGavin. I can never remember his actual name. I just know him as Shooter
Christopher
McGavin.
McDonald.
Thank you. And Jennifer Aniston and Vin Diesel in this bitch. Like, and Harry Connick Jr. too. Like, this movie is just great all around. It's got laughs, it's got heart, and it'll emotionally wreck you. And I think that's what gives everybody who is in our age range trauma as adults.
Right. The Iron Giant does make the list. And the fact move over to Brandon.
Okay, so the first movie I'm going to go with, not only is my most favorite animated movie, it's my favorite movie overall of all time. Came out in 1995. It is Disney. I did try to task myself to not put too many Disney movies, but this one I knew right away I'm going to push for this. Again, came out in 95. Didn't really start getting a following until about 20 years later, but I'm going to go with a Goofy movie.
Not technically Disney. Like, it was released by Walt Disney Studios, but it's not technically Disney.
Well,
so I will give you that. I will give you that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, a Goofy movie is one that I actually revisited specifically for this list because I had a feeling it was going to come up at some stage. Fine. I'm going to give it a slight yes. It's once again, like, I've got a long list on my letterbox that I'll make public after this, but it falls in the top 20 for me, so I'm going to give it a slight yes. But Jay, what do you say about a Goofy movie?
Check it. It's the Leaning Tower of Drinks. This definitely would have been a yes for me. This was on my list. I absolutely love this movie, and it seems like me and Brandon are seeing eye to eye. This is a yes for me. It's the Goofy movie. I want to say how fast we are moving through these, but I don't want to jinx us because I feel in like 5 picks we're all just gonna start being very fucking shallow about the reasons why we're saying no to certain movies. But I'm glad at the speed that we're moving right now.
I don't know. As long as it doesn't take as long as the MCU one, we should be fine because we've got something to do it shortly after.
That's fair.
About 11. So, but Richard, what would you have said about a Goofy movie?
Nobody else like you would be able to choose this. No, it was my second choice when it came on here. It has everything that I think makes a perfect like animated movie. Great songs, great like emotional moments, funny moments. After today, it's everything's great about this. It was an easy yes for me. Like it's such an underrated movie.
But for my first pick, I'm going to go for one that's definitely Disney. this is one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm gonna go Lion King. Like for me, this is one of the best Disney animated movies out there. And it's like, I will always be sort of gotten at Mufasa's death scene in the movie. But yeah, Jay, what do you say about the Lion King?
Here's where I maybe become the asshole. As much as I am a Lion King apologist, the original, not the remake, I'm going to have to say no. There are better versions of the story that this is trying to tell that came out in the 90s. Plus, there's like 5 good minutes of this movie. The rest of it is honestly just boring. It's going to be a no for me.
Richard, what do you say about the Lion King?
I understand where Jay's coming from, but it's really hard for me to say no to this movie. It's still a good movie. The soundtrack alone makes me say yes. Like, it's such good music, such good moments. Yes, it's like a repeat of Hamlet in Shakespearean wise, but I can't say no. It's still a good movie, and there's a reason why so many people love this movie and hate the remake. It's because of this movie, so I'm saying yes.
It's because they watched the remake.
Can't say no to it.
Brandon, what do you say about the Lion King?
So, for the Lion King, so I split what movies I wanted into tiers. The Lion King was actually the top of my second tier because it is such a good movie. It's actually my wife's most favorite movie of all time. And I understand where Jay's coming from, but I do feel like it's one of the better ones that tells their version of Hamlet essentially. So I am going to say yes to the Lion.
Oof.
And with that, the Lion King does make the list. And we go back to Jay.
I know most of mine are going to get no's, and it's mainly because you guys haven't seen them, and that's the worst part about it.
Well, you never know.
Yeah, have you seen Bebe's Kids?
Actually, I have.
Yes, let's go. Too bad I'm not going to nominate that one just yet. I am actually going to go with probably one of the creepier Scooby-Doo movies because Scooby-Doo doesn't get enough love, and this was like his big return to the screen. And I'm going to go Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, as a matter of fact. This movie is creepy as fuck. This movie is great. This movie is definitely not your child's Scooby-Doo movie, not your parents' Scooby-Doo from like the 60s and the 70s with the beatniks. It's a little bit more gritty. It's a little bit more real. And I think that's one of the reasons why I like it as much as I do. And it just sticks with you after 25 years. So Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island is my choice.
Richard, what do you say about Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island?
I have seen it. I did like it. I just don't know if it's top 12 worthy. It's a good movie. I enjoyed it fine. I'm going to give it a slight no, just because there are other animated movies out there that's better than this one, in my opinion. I mean, but I do like the movie. I just, for a top 12, I just can't do it, at least not right now.
Brandon, what do you say about Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island?
So, Malcolm, this is actually the reason why I'm so glad you included straight-to-home video films. Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island was in my top tier, so for me, a very, very easy yes.
Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't seen it. Or this is one I might have seen as a kid, but I'm not too sure. I don't remember it. I just couldn't find it anywhere to watch for this. This is like I knew that Scooby-Doo one was bound to come up when I decided to include director videos. And I decided to do it because I know if I did virtual only, then would have been a lot of Disney on this list. So I thought I'd throw a mention here, and I just hope I don't regret it like the animated movie sequels with Leroy and Bloody Stitch. But
Well, it's because Lilo and Stitch shouldn't have had a sequel.
Fair.
I mean, I don't mind one sequel, but it got to a point where there's too many. But anyway, but that Scooby-Doo and Zombieland does not make this list, unfortunately. We go to Richard.
Wait, isn't that?
I really
isn't
hope
that
this
a
makes.
tie?
Well, like you nominated it, so it's.
I'm not, but that would make me a yes vote, right? I'm just curious.
No,
I think either way it has to
because
be majority.
because it's an even number. The person nominating doesn't really count when it comes to main list. It's the other three.
Boo this man.
All right,
and
so my
that-
next
and I don't-
choice. Oh, sorry. My next choice, I'm hoping gets in, but I don't think it. I mean, I can understand why it doesn't get in. I still love this movie. It's raunchy as hell. It's South Park, bigger, longer, and uncut. I remember the soundtrack. I still have it on my iPod. It's so funny. Such a funny movie. You can argue it's just an hour and a half long South Park episode, but it's still good. That's my
Shut your
nomination.
fucking
South Park
face,
bigger.
Uncle Fucker.
What would Brian Boitano do? He would say yes. So we'll see how this goes.
It's true. No, not fucking Brian Dennehy.
Brandon, what do you say about South Park being longer and uncut?
So I'm probably gonna get heat for this. So I cannot stand South Park in general at all. Just not my cup of tea. So for me, this is a big time easy. This is a big time no for me.
That's right. I'll share some of that heat because I'm well known for not liking South Park. I was considering watching this for this list because I knew someone was bound to bring it up, but it's not streaming anywhere for me, so I didn't. But Jay, what would you have said about South Park being longer and uncut?
Are you kidding me? I can't blame Canada, and now I got to blame New Zealand. The fuck? This movie should have made it on this list. This is one of the fucking funniest movies of the 1990s. You can say what you want about not liking South Park whatsoever. You actually got to watch the fucking movie.
I have.
And I know, well, not you. I'm talking more Malcolm because I'm really, it really kind of hurts my heart that like certain movies are being like downplayed because people haven't watched it. Get a VPN, watch these fucking movies. They're great. We've talked about this. I'm not mad at you. It's just disappointing to not see probably one of the funniest movies of the 90s make it.
I mean, I don't find South Park funny at all anyway. But anyway, we move over to Brandon. What is the next movie going to bring up?
Okay, so for this one, this was a film, one of the earlier films from this pretty well-known animation studio. I think it is a great retelling from the Book of Exodus. So my pick is The Prince of Egypt.
But yeah, The Prince of Egypt is one that until recently I hadn't seen. I saw it for the first time earlier this year or late last year. I can't remember which. And this is a great movie. This is an easy yes for me. Jay, what do you say about The Prince of Egypt?
It's a mediocre yes for me, but it still gets a yes. I'm not very much for religiosity in my fucking movies. It's kind of hard with a subject like this, but yes, I have to say yes.
But Richard, what would you say about The Prince of Egypt?
As someone who grew up Catholic, I was forced to watch this movie. As much as I wanted to hate it, I actually did enjoy it. So it would have been yes.
Some of the songs slap in this movie. I'm not gonna lie, like they really do. Plus, you got fucking Steve Martin and Martin Short as the fucking high priests.
Oh, they were fantastic.
Comedy gold. I still don't trust Voldemort.
It's on to me for my next
And
one.
Val Kilmer's God. Like,
for my next one, for my next one, I'm going to go try for this one. We're making this list. I didn't realize how much anime I actually had in my top 5 on my personal list. And I really do love this TV series that this movie is based on. It's Pokemon, the first movie. And I mean, well, yes, it may have had a shitty CGI mess on Netflix the last couple years ago, but the Pokemon, the first movie, this is just great, and it's one of those ones because I actually saw this before I even knew it was there was a TV show to go with it, and this is one that I really love going in, and I just think that once again the emotional moment at the end with all the Pokemon helping revive Ash, I think it's just one of those moments which will stay with me that I'll always remember from when I watch this. Jay, what do you say about Pokemon the first movie?
I will give it to Ash. He tries to throw hands with probably the most powerful Pokemon on the face of the planet at that time. But one emotional moment and one dope ass moment do not a good movie make. I have to say no. We are too far down the list. If this was like the number 2 or the number 3 nomination, maybe, but we're like halfway through our list right now. I have to say no. This is not the Pokemon movie.
Richard, what do you say about Pokemon the first movie?
I mean, I liked this movie when I was a kid, but it kind of doesn't hold up to now. I think there have been far better Pokemon movies than Pokemon the first movie. I would probably argue Pokemon 2000 is better. Slight better.
I almost brought up Pokemon 2000. It made my list in honorable mentions.
I'm going to have to give it a slight no, just because I did love it as a kid, but like I got older and the movie kind of showed its age.
I'm not going to lie. I still have some of the collectible Pokemon cards that were given away at the movie theater from this movie.
Nice.
But that doesn't mean I'm going to say yes.
Brandon, what do you have said about Pokemon the first movie?
This has been difficult for me because this did make my short list, but this was in my lower tier. I think, yeah, given how far we already are into the top 12, I probably would have given it a very slight no.
But for that, we're going to move over to Jay. Jay, what is the next movie you're going to bring up?
She said no to that one. Which of the 2 movies do I go with? Because I do have another anime movie that I would like to get on this list. But the fucking my heart's gonna break because I don't think people have seen them. So I don't want to waste my pick. So can I ask if I nominate a movie? Can everybody tell me if they've not seen it before they say yes or no? And if you guys haven't seen it, can I just say something different? Because I don't want to waste my pick.
I can
Have you guys
Yeah,
seen Ninja Scroll?
Seen what?
I have
Ninja
not.
Scroll.
No.
It's been a while.
So just based on the fact that 2 people haven't seen it, do you mind if I throw something else out there? Because that'd be a waste of a pick. All right, cool. I just wanted to ask because I don't. I would feel really bad for being. I have to abdicate. I have to abstain from saying something about it. So I'm gonna rock the other way, seeing as I had the Prince of Egypt somewhere on my list. Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island didn't make it. Let's. I'm gonna rock with Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost. The introduction of the Hex Girls, probably one of the better villains in Ben Ravencroft. Just flat out, not a continuation of on Zombie Island, but definitely adds to that flavor. Ooh, excuse me. Adds to the flavor of it being creepy, but still keeping it in the realm of Scooby-Doo, and we're actually getting more into the supernatural instead of it just being Old Man Jenkins all the time. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost.
Richard, what do you say about Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost?
Man, he really wants a Scooby-Doo on there. You know what? I really did like this one. I'll give it a yes for you, Jay. I know you want a Scooby-Doo on there. I'll give
Love
you
you,
a
buddy.
Scooby-Doo. I'll give you a Scooby-Doo.
Love you, buddy.
Brandon, what do you say about Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost?
So Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost is one of the ones under consideration. It was on my lower tier, but I did recently watch a review of it, and it did bring back a lot of great memories. From the Hex Girls, Ben Ravenscroft. I do like the kind of like the not kind of the twist, because you can sort of tell Ravenscroft's gonna be the villain, but the fact that like
spoilers.
Sorry, spoilers. That you think, okay, the whole Old Man Jenkins thing or whatever, and then it turns into, oh wait, she really was the witch, and all this stuff and everything. So I'm gonna I'm gonna say yes to Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost.
Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, this is basically just like Zombie Island. I think I've seen this when I was a kid. I just haven't revisited it, so I don't remember. I don't remember if I enjoyed it enough to confidently say yes on it. But Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost does make this one.
Fuck yeah, let's go. We needed some Scooby-Doo on there, my guy. I'm just saying. We got heavy religious principles. We need some witchcraft somewhere.
But with that, we can move over to Richard.
I'm going to do probably one of my favorite Disney movies of all time, Beauty and the Beast. I think it teaches just a very good story. If looks only come from the inside, don't be a rich douche or you get turned into a beast. I mean, the great soundtrack alone is so good. I think, there's a good message in, you can, if you don't be a mean person, if you want to be rude, you can be ugly. Yeah, in all seriousness, it's such a touching story. I mean, it teaches a rich prince that looks don't really matter as long as you're pure-hearted. I just think, such a good movie, and I think it's better than Lion King in my opinion. So I think this should definitely be on here. Beauty and the Beast, tales all time.
Brandon, what do you say about Beauty and the Beast?
So funny enough, Beauty and the Beast was gonna be the next movie I was gonna shoot for, and it really is such a good movie, such a beautiful hand-drawn animation. From 1991, first ever animated film to be nominated for a Best Picture Oscar and a well-deserved nomination. So yeah, it's an easy yes for me on Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, I mean, Beauty and the Beast was going to be an easy yes for me as well. This is, and this is one of those ones like I'm not ashamed to say that I am a Disney show when it comes to animated movies, but this is definitely one that's up there. And I'm one of the rare people that I actually don't hate the remake that they did of this. But Jay,
Get it, Malcolm. Your check is in the mail. Calm down.
Say what?
Oh my god, this would have been a no for me. I don't much care for this movie. I really don't. Like, the time constraint is one thing, and it seems like there's a lot of convenience in this movie more than anything that come down to he has to be a good guy, but he only becomes a good guy. Like, it doesn't feel like Beast learns his lesson. It just feels like he's doing this out of an obligation to not look like the fucking Beast anymore. The more and more I watch this movie, the more and more I hate this movie. And it's because it essentially teaches kids to put on a mask and say, hey, if you do something bad and you get fucking reprimanded for it, you got to act this way in order to be treated better. But then you can go back to doing exactly what it is that you did that got you in trouble in the first place. Because he doesn't learn his lesson. He still has an issue in the second movie with his anger. And even in the remake, this would have been a no for me. And it's because on the surface, it's a good movie. The deeper that you look into this movie, the worse and worse it kind of becomes. At least to me, that's my own opinion. If you don't agree with it, that's completely fine. But the deeper you look into this movie, the more and more flawed it seems to be when it comes to me.
That's fair. But for that, we move over to Brandon. Brandon, what is your next nomination?
Okay, no. I got to do a little bit of thinking because Richard took my
Richard
next
stole it.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm gonna go a little more unconventional, I'm not sure who's actually seen this. It is an anime film. I enjoy it very much. It's not Studio Ghibli though. This is actually based off a very popular video game series. So I'm gonna go with Street Fighter 2, the animated movie.
I have seen it. That's the one with Ryu's little brother, right?
I think that's Street Fighter V.
Oh, okay. Dang it. Nope. Then I don't know if I've seen it.
It's the one where it ends with a 2-on-1 fight, Ryu and Ken versus Bison on like a hill or something.
But yeah, either way, I know I've not seen it. Jay, have you seen Street Fighter 2?
I have, and we're too deep into the list for me to say yes on this one. Not the right anime movie to bring up. I do give you props for trying, but the same rules should apply. I don't think Richard's seen it. You haven't seen it. I've seen it. He should get to be able to say something different, and that's just on me.
Yeah, I'll allow it.
All right, cool. All right, so
if y'all would allow it for me, you got to allow it for everybody else. And I appreciate that, guys. Honestly, I do.
All right, let me see here. What to go with now? Okay, I'll go with this one. I think I think when we talk about any 90s animated films that's not Disney, I think this should definitely be in the discussion. It's a personal favorite, not only mine, it's a personal favorite of my wife's. We actually recently obtained a new copy of it on DVD. I'm gonna nominate Balto.
Okay.
Yeah, this is ironically, this is the biopic. And I was a bit considering bringing it up last week. Well,
no, I get it. This ain't the movie to bring up around your anti-vax friends.
I mean, as a joke, I was going to bring it up last week. But either way, I have not seen this movie.
I broke Brandon.
Messed up.
But anyway, Jay, what do you say about Balto?
Balto's on my list. I wanted to nominate it just for the anti-vax joke alone. No, this is a great movie. Like, I still remember. It's weird. Don't hate me. I didn't have a lot of movies to watch as a kid. When I moved into like my first apartment with my mom and my stepdad at like 11 years old, I had 3 movies on VHS. I had Reindeer Games, Titanic, and Balto. So guess what I watched? A lot of the second half of Titanic and Balto. Because even then I knew that Reindeer Games was a bad movie. But Balto definitely would have made the list. Balto is a yes for me.
Richard, what do you say about Balto?
I don't remember the movie. Like, I'm trying to remember Balto. Like, I know I can see Balto's face. There's just a lot of dog animated movies.
Dog runs the Iditarod.
I mean, if you guys really want it, I will say yes. But I just, there's so many dog movies. I just don't really remember it. But you know what? I will give it a yes. Why not? Just because just because I haven't seen it or don't remember it doesn't mean it's not a good movie. I'll give it a yes. Why not?
But that Balto does make this list. But that being said, it's on me. And based on what was said earlier, I'm going to try it. I'm going to bring up Pokemon 2000. Because why not? Because this is I do like I like a lot of the Pokemon movies.
I don't think you could. It's not 90s.
It is. It came out in 99. It came out in 1999.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I thought it was in the 2000s. Okay.
I understand because it's called Pokemon the movie 2000 why you would think that way, but no, it did come out in 1999.
Okay.
Another movie that I'm not going to bring up that has the same issue as Fantasia 2000.
That
came out in 99. it makes movie release those questions awkward if those
Yeah, because now they got
But-
worldwide release until 2000.
yeah. But with that being said, I think Pokemon.
That's because they're not good movies, Chris. Calm down.
But with but Pokemon the movie 2000 is a great movie. I'm gonna try my luck because based on what people said earlier. Jay, what do you say about Pokemon the movie 2000?
No. Just flat out no. We are at like 9 movies in right now. Again, had this been said at like number 2, number 3, maybe, but I gotta go. No, the story here isn't that great, and yeah, we get introduced to some new Pokemons, but it's weird. It's disjointed, and all around the story doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I'm just gonna go flat out no.
Richard, what do you say about Pokemon the movie 2000?
I'll make you feel better, Malcolm. I'll give it a yes. I still enjoy this movie. Yes, the story isn't great, but when it comes to animation, not much is. I still like this movie a lot, so I will give you a yes, Malcolm. I'm kidding, Joey, but I still like this movie.
Shut your fucking face, Uncle Fucker.
Which means it's on Brandon. Brandon, what do you say about Pokemon the movie?
This is really tough because Pokemon 2000, along with the first movie, were both in my third tier. It's our first introduction to Slowking. We have the temporary face turn from Team Rocket. Overall, a fun movie, but if this came up a little bit earlier, it'd be easier, yes. But because we're so deep in, I'm going to have to get a very slight no.
I mean, I'm pretty sure just about every Pokemon movie get a temporary face turn from Team Rocket, to be fair.
Oh, yeah.
The short at the beginning of this movie is better than the actual movie.
But with that, we're going to move over to Jay.
I know everybody here hasn't seen 1994's Ghost in the Shell, so I'm not even going to try. I'll just save it for my honorable mentions. It's way better than the Scarlett Johansson version.
Oh yeah.
But it was brought up. I'm gonna go with probably one of the weirder stylistic choices when it comes to an animated movie. It's neo-noir. Your boy got to bring up Batman Mask of the Phantasm. Like, this movie still looks good to this day. I really like the story behind it. I am a Batman stan. I do have Batman tattooed on me, but I do believe Batman Mask of the Phantasm is one of the better animated movies of the 90s and deserves a spot on this list.
Richard, what do you say about Batman Mask of the Phantasm?
It's a no for me. Look, if it wasn't for the Batman animated series, this movie would just be a so-so movie. It's fine, but I think that what makes this movie even good is because the 90s animated Batman TV series. It's not a good standalone movie. Like, it's not. I mean, it's a good, but it's not top 12 worthy. It's a no for me.
Brandon, what do you say about
Sorry.
Batman Mask of the Phantasm?
This is pretty tough for me because it didn't make my list, but you can't argue because it is a good movie. I do agree the animation still holds up today. Also, the reveal of the identity of the Phantasm is great. You know what? I'm going to give a very, very, very slight yes.
Yeah, it's just simply a no for me. I'm not a fan of this.
Sorry, Jay.
No, it's fine. Malcolm likes movie 43, so like
what?
I mean, I enjoy watching it. I know it's a bad movie, but that being said, I've said this on multiple different things when Batman Mask of the Phantasm has brought up. I did not grow up with the Batman animated series. I've probably seen bits and pieces.
So sorry for your childhood.
It's just one of those ones that just like I might have seen shorts for it, but it just didn't appeal to me. I didn't get into comic book movies until much later for me.
Of course you would have, Chris, because that's the correct answer.
But but with that being said, we move over to Richard.
It was really between two underrated movies I think are the best sequels to their prior. Really good. So I'm choosing this one, The American Tail, Five Goes West. Believe that's 90s,
Brett,
right?
It is.
It is.
It's like 92,
Five
93.
Goes West in America. Okay.
All right.
This is such a good movie. I think it does. I love the original, the first one, but this one is just really good as well. I think it holds its own. It's very underrated. Probably I don't know how many people have seen it, but I really enjoy this movie. So going Five Goes West in American Tail.
Brandon, what do you say about American Tail, Five Goes West?
So, for this movie, this was actually in my third tier. I definitely think not as good as the original movie, but it's still definitely a fun movie. I do kind of enjoy the fact that instead of guns, they use slingshots. Also, they just you have the bad guy trying to morph Fievel's sister into this unbelievable diva, even referring to her as his diva. So I'm gonna give it a slight yes.
Yeah, I mean, like I grew up watching the American Tail movies a lot as a kid. I've probably still got the VHS copies of both of them somewhere. Not that there's a VHS player in my house to watch the movie anymore. But yeah, I remember loving this a lot as a kid. So as a yes for me, Jay, what would you say about American Tail, Five Goes West?
Rip Dom DeLuise, but this would have been a no from me. I think the first one is way better than the second one. Don't get me wrong. I watched the shit out of these when I was super young, but I don't find the same joy. And maybe it's because as an adult and the depression and everything just sucks the joy out of life for me. But I don't find myself loving this movie the way like my 5-year-old self did. So it would have been a no from me. And it's on Disney Plus. So if you haven't seen it or you haven't seen it in a while, go and watch it. Because that's what I did a couple of days ago, because I was like, I can put a Fievel movie on here, and I can't put the one that I want, and I can't put the Brave Little Toaster. But so no, it would have been a no for me. Thank you, Movie Man.
But with that, Brandon, we move over to you.
All right. So real quick, Chris, you said that was not your choice for a Don Bluth movie. What would have you picked? Put that in the chat. So this is the last movie in my top tier. I would have gone with this around earlier, but since Jay helped me implement that rule about not seeing films, I felt like I owed it to him to not pick a Disney movie. But but I am picking a Disney movie this time around.
That's fair.
This one, personal favorite of mine, in my top 5 favorite movies of all time. Very first movie I ever saw in theaters when I was 4 years old. I'm gonna go with Aladdin.
But that being, but yeah, I do enjoy Aladdin, and I think it is a good movie. This is one that, when it comes to Disney movies, I'm like, I mean, on my overall Disney movie list, it's not really high up, but when it comes to 90s, it's is a bit high for me. It's going to be yes. And yeah, Jay, what do you say about Aladdin?
I am in the very, very small minority when it comes to the Aladdin movies, because there's a way that people look at these movies and then they rank them. I actually don't think that the first Aladdin movie is the best Aladdin movie. I'm not going to say that Return of Jafar is the best Aladdin movie, because that would just be a lie. But I do believe Aladdin, the King of Thieves, is a better Aladdin movie than Aladdin is. I think Aladdin is helped out a lot by everybody's love for Robin Williams on the stories and the hilarity that he brings to it. But I think the better story happens in the third one. So it goes 3, 1, and 2 for me. Personally, Aladdin would have been a no just based on that alone. Also, we still have at least 2 other Disney movies that deserve to be on this list before Aladdin. But I respect the fact that like you didn't make me choose this like a round ago, and you waited. I do kind of like the movie though. It's good, but I think we're too lost in the sauce. I think we're too deep right now for Aladdin to be brought up and for it to make it. That's just me, because Richard's probably going to say yes, but it would have been a no for me.
That's fair.
Richard, what do you say about Aladdin?
I do like Aladdin, but I kind of think Return of the Jafar is better than the first one. So, I mean, it would be a crime if I didn't say yes to this, because it is considered one of the best animated movies. But I don't want to do this. But I'm gonna stick with my gut. I'm sorry. I'm gonna say no, because in my opinion, I think Return of Jafar. If direct to DVDs wasn't included, I would have said yes. But in my personal opinion, I think Return of Jafar is better than the first movie, just because storytelling alone. It doesn't have the same songs as the first one, but I think the story in the second movie is better than the first. So it's a no for me. For
NWA and the Revengers are done just for that opinion alone.
But with that being said, going to, for me, I'm going to go for this. Jay might have shown his hand about these movies before, but I'm going to bring them up now. I'm going to bring up first Toy Story. Look, is it top tier Pixar? Not really, but I do think it is one of the better animated movies that Pixar did in the 90s. But the relationship between Woody and Buzz is just perfect, and I think I really enjoy the music in this, the score and the song. But yeah, Jay, what do you say about the first Toy Story?
It's hard to fucking look at, is what I say about this movie. This movie does not hold up animation wise. And yeah, we've come a long way since 1995. I think the story is a little overplayed. Don't get me wrong. A toy thinking that he's not a toy, but still being pre-programmed to freeze when a human walks into the room is really kind of an interesting thing. But we don't ever get into that. It's just the story of jealousy. And I think that there are better animated movies that have tackled that before and after. You don't got a friend in me in this one. I'm gonna say no, based on the fact that A, the animation is trash. B, the best part about this movie, I will however say the best part about this movie is Buzz, can you give me a hand? And he tosses him his arm. When they're in Spike's house, shit still cracks me up. There are parts about this movie that I thoroughly enjoy, but I gotta say no, simply based on, if we're talking about best animated movie of the 90s, we can't just go with like our nostalgia picks. You got to look at it from multiple criteria, and one of those criteria is animation, and it just does not hold up in there. So it would be a no for me, and I could be alone in that boat, and I have no problems with that. But it for that reason alone, it would be a
no. Richard, what do you say about Toy Story?
I completely disagree with Jay. The animation definitely holds up, especially for the 90s. This changed the game in the 90s. If it wasn't for this movie, we may not gotten some of the Pixar movies that we've loved to enjoy in the 2000s, 2010s. If it wasn't for the success of this movie, we may never have gotten those movies. And I think the story was great. I think the relationship between Woody and Buzz is fantastic. I think just the overall, what we got, I mean, it may not be the best Toy Story, but if it wasn't for the success of this specific Toy Story, we wouldn't have gotten like Toy Story 2 or Toy Story 3. So it's a yes for me. I think
there's sequels.
Well, I'm just saying, I think this movie still holds up to this day. Maybe not as great looking as it is now, but for the 90s, it was a game changer.
Everybody looks the same.
And we all look the same in real life.
But Brandon, what do you say about the first Toy Story?
You say that? My name is Mrs. Nesbit. One of my favorite moments. I mean, this one's like, I have to slightly side more with Richard on this. It's just that, is the animation the best to date? No, but any bit of creativity has to have a beginning somewhere. Like, you look at how graphics are with, like, with PlayStation 5, Xbox, and everything today, and look at what we initially had with Nintendo 64. That looks horrifying. But again, there was a beginning somewhere when it comes to, like, the 3D animation, and with Pixar and a lot of 3D animated films, it really does begin with Toy Story. And there's also just moments, it does help establish the characters that we all know and love today. So I'm going to go ahead and say yes to Toy Story.
If that Toy Story makes the list, and we've got 2 spots left, and moving over to Jay.
I will say this. It's funny that you bring up a Nintendo product when comparing it to a Sony and a Microsoft product. That doesn't work for me. That analogy is broken, sir. Also, fucking yikes. You know what? I'm gonna throw it out there. I'm gonna throw it out there with a ha and a pwah and a whoo. I'm gonna throw out Anastasia, as a matter of fact. If not for just Bartok alone, and I didn't want to just go with the sequel, Bartok's Adventures, he is the comedic master in this movie that has so many tense moments in it. From Christopher Lloyd's Rasputin still creeps me out to this day. This movie hits all of the points that I want in a movie. It's memorable. It's got comedic moments. It's creepy. It tells almost a historically accurate story. Like, everybody believed that the Romanov family didn't all die during the uprising of the Bolsheviks in the early 1900s. It's enjoyable. This movie still looks great to this day. You want to talk about animation that still looks great to this day? It's not Toy Story. It's more Anastasia than it is Toy Story. So Anastasia, my wild card pick. It was going to be an honorable mention. I did see that Chris mentioned it in the chat. So shout outs to Chris as well. But just Bartok in general gives this, it makes it worthy of a nomination.
Richard, what do you say about Anastasia?
I haven't thought about this movie in years, but it's a good movie. I just, I haven't watched it in such a long time. It's kind of forgettable, but it's a good movie. I will give it a yes. I don't know how far I'll go, because it's a good movie. It's just not a movie that I can rewatch over and over. But when I do watch it, I enjoy it.
Brandon, what do you say
Says yes.
about Anastasia?
So Anastasia was in my mid tier for this one. It is such a beautiful animation. I do agree. Bartok is like, there's a reason why he's the one who got the straight to video sequel.
That's fair.
Brian, you are definitely correct. In the Dark of the Night, fantastic villain song. Just overall, people do forget it's not just Christopher Lloyd. Jim Cummings definitely contributed to that song. But overall, my only real complaint with it, I think it runs just a little bit long, but otherwise, great movie. I'm saying yes to Anastasia.
Anastasia's going to make this list. For the longest time, this is one I thought was Disney until I realized it wasn't Disney.
And
And
Don Bluth, right?
I
I
believe so.
I think it was his last one, right?
Yeah, I think it was produced by Fox, which is why it's not now on Disney Plus. But yeah, but this is one of those ones that I tried to watch recently, but I just couldn't get into it. I was going to give it another shot for this. I just ran out of time to do it. But it's making this list regardless, and we're moving over to Richard. Got one spot left.
It's gonna be tough. I know there's probably a lot of movies. I'm just gonna go with the one that's like such a sad movie, but it's a good movie. All Dogs Go to Heaven. It's probably one of the saddest movies of all time, in my opinion, anime-wise. Is that 90s, or am I just getting that wrong?
It's 80s.
80s? Okay, damn it. So I will go with the one I wanted to go with.
It's 89. All Dogs Go to Heaven 2 is the one that came out in the 90s.
I didn't like All Dogs Go to Heaven 2, so I will go with a different one.
He's going with
I'll go
Rover
with probably.
Dangerfield.
I'm gonna go with one of my favorites, another favorite sequels, probably an underrated movie. I'm going with The Rescuers Down Under. I enjoy this movie a lot. It takes place in Australia. I think it's better than the first one. It doesn't have all the songs like normal Disney movie goes, and I think it still holds up today.
Brandon, what do you say about Whiskers Down Under?
Well, this was a bottom tier, but this was one of the rare cases where the sequel was better than the original, at least in my opinion. Animation's great, the villain is great, even the villain's sidekick is great. There was guy Lou Tunes, he did like top 10 movie vehicles, and the bad guy's Jeep was in his top 10 best animated vehicles of all time. So I'm gonna say yes, The Rescuers Down Under.
Yeah, I watched Whiskers Down Under for the first time this week. It's enjoyable. I'm going to say no because there's one that I hope it gets back to me. I want to try and get on here, but Jay, what do you say about Whiskers Down Under?
Or you would have been a no for me. Had this been like, had Richard gone first and Rescuers Down Under was brought up, yes. But with our last pick, there are certainly better movies, and there are certainly more movies that came out in the 90s that deserve this spot more than The Rescuers Down Under. I'm not saying that it's not a good movie, but also best movie vehicles is a subjective thing to base a yes or a no on.
But Brandon, what is your next movie going to bring out?
Yes, Brian, that's correct. So the next one I'm gonna go with. I'm going with Toy Story 2. This one, animation got a little bit better. I do believe it has a stronger story than the first film. So yeah, I'll go with Toy Story 2.
This is a no from me, straight off. This is my least favorite Toy Story, and we've already got the better one on this list, for the 90s at least, anyway. So yeah, Jay, I assume you're going to be the same.
I am going to be the same, and it's not because I dislike this movie. I actually thoroughly like this movie. We have a couple of sequels on here, but stacking the list with the first two Toy Story movies not only seems unfair, but is unwise, in my opinion. This would have been the one that, had Toy Story not been brought up, I would have said yes to. But because I had to say no to Toy Story, I have to say no to Toy Story 2, based on the fact that, again, there are better movies in the 90s that we still have not talked about. However much this is an enjoyable movie, it's also probably the most forgettable Toy Story movie that's ever been made. So I got to go no.
Chris, do you ever pick some movie on the list? We've got the first Toy Story. But Richard, what you said about Toy Story 2?
I would probably also said no. I'm one of the few people that didn't really like Toy Story 2, and we do already have a Toy Story on here, so it wouldn't be fair to have two movies. When I do agree, Jay, there are other movies that should be on here. We shouldn't have two of the same properties on here.
But it moves over to me. I'm going to try this. I don't know how it's going to go, but I know the trivia community, especially in Full Metal, really liked it when I put this movie in the deep cuts list. So I'm going to try and bring it up to see what happens. I'm bringing up the Rugrats movie. Look, this is one that I'm probably picking for purely nostalgia. And this is one that I actually rewatched before, just to see if it has the same enjoyment I did. Like, this is just one that I like. when it comes to Chucky, Tommy, Angelica, and all the other babies there, I had a lot of fun with this. I don't know how this is going to go, but Jay, what do you say about the Rugrats movie?
Oh, hard fucking no. Hard no. This isn't even the best Rugrats movie. Rugrats in Paris is way better than this. And had this been like number 3 nominated, maybe I would have said yes. But to me, Rugrats is a big no.
Richard, what do you say about the Rugrats movie?
I enjoyed the movie. If it was the top 20 list, it would be on here, but not for top 12. Unfortunately, it's a no for me.
Brandon, what do you say about the Rugrats movie?
Yeah, not a fan of this one. I think Rugrats in Paris is the better Rugrats film.
Facts.
But yeah, it definitely would have been a no for me as well.
But if that, we go to Jay.
All right. I have a lot left. But there's one movie that I want to mention. I don't think A, everybody has seen it, and B, it would make the list anyways. So I'm gonna go wild card, and I'm gonna say probably my favorite movie of the 90s that happens to as well be a Disney movie. And I tried to keep Disney off of my list as much as possible. But the problem is when you do that, you run into movies like Ghost in the Shell, which a lot of people haven't seen or a lot of people haven't heard of, or the only one that they've heard of is the fucking live action version. I'm going to go with probably the most fun I had watching a movie in the 90s that's Disney. And I'm going to go with Mulan. As a matter of fact, it's got some of the best songs. It's got one of the most memorable characters in Mushu. And it's still probably one of the most quotable Disney movies from the late 90s. Mulan is the one that I'm going to put on the board. Plus, it's got Pat Morita and it's got George Takei in it as well. So, oh my.
Richard, what do you say about Mulan?
This is what I was about to nominate. So it's a yes for
Let's
me.
go.
Like, it's a good movie. It's one of the few movies like in Disney where it's like the woman is not the damsel in distress.
Fucking thank you.
They flipped the script, and
The
you know,
warrior from
I agree,
the
Jay. The
mountain.
soundtrack is really good. The story's really good. It's one of the movies that is not. It's better, really better than the live action version. That's for sure.
Way better.
And
Although I will say
So
this,
it's a
the
yes for
live
me.
action version, not incredibly terrible. Not great, but not super bad. So
Haven't seen it yet. It's on my watch list though.
get to it in 5 years. You'll be fine.
So Mulan. So as I've mentioned before, I split the movies I wanted into like upper, mid, and lower tier. Upper's already finished. Mulan was actually my last movie in the mid tier. One of my favorite movie quotes of all time comes from this: "Dishonor are you, dishonor are your cow." So
Dishonoring your whole family.
dishonor your whole family. I want that on a T-shirt. So it's a yes for me for Mulan.
Let's go.
With that, Mulan does make the list. But yeah, I mean, while Mulan isn't my favorite Disney movie, it's one that I do enjoy enough, and I would have said yes to this. I still find Mushu really annoying, and I mean, for me, it was one of these shiny moments of Mulan, knowing that there wasn't an annoying Mushu in there. But
There's just an annoying lady who turns into a bird. Okay.
I mean, yeah. Anyway,
And the grandma's
I
great.
mean, every Disney anime movie has an annoying character.
Sign me up for the
quite
next war.
scary. But with that, Mulan does make this list. And just to recap what we've got on here, we've got Princess Mononoke, we've got The Iron Giant, we've got A Goofy Movie, we've got The Lion King, we've got The Prince of Egypt, we've got Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost, we've got Beauty and the Beast, we've got Balto, we've got Mercantile, Five Goes West, Toy Story, we've got Anastasia, and we've got Mulan. Now we get to the part where we get to vote. So So write down what you want for 12, and yeah.
Are we doing honorable mentions or no?
I mean, if you've got any to throw out there, then yeah.
I have a couple.
I have a few.
So Richard, what on
Yeah, I have a
mentions do you
couple,
want to
but
throw out?
What are your honorable mentions, Richard? What do you
I
got?
mean, I had the DuckTales movie, Search of the Lost Lamp. Did you not hear me? Hello?
No, yeah,
Yeah, we're-
DuckTales.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Clear.
so DuckTales the movie. I had the Flintstones Meet the Jetsons, Jetsons the movie, and James and Giant Peach. But not really a fan of that. So my main three I wanted to bring was Flintstones Meet the Jetsons, Jetsons the movie, and whatever the DuckTales movie. Yeah.
Brandon, what on mentions you want to bring up?
I only really had 5 left, and these were all in my third tier. Funny enough, the first 2 were actually brought up earlier, but I just didn't feel strong enough to go for it. I had both Return of Jafar and Aladdin and the King of Thieves. Also had Lion King 2, Simba's Pride. That was one of the. I mean, for a straight to video sequel, it's a little stronger than most others. I also had Cats Don't Dance and Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like the reason I didn't bring out like James and John Peach and Sebastian, well, there is the majority of live animation parts there. They not really strictly animated movies. So I wasn't going to try and get them on the list when they're not completely animated. But for me, some of the honorable mentions I was going to bring up, Whisper of the Heart is one of my enjoyable Ghibli movies, but it's also one of those ones that it's like I don't know how widely into Ghibli people are.
You might have at least had a
Animaniacs,
yes from me, Malcolm.
Animaniacs Wrecker's Wish, I think is a lot of fun. And Porco Rosso, I also think is pretty fun. So, and Dave, what honorable mentions did you have?
Okay, so the last that I have on my list right now, I still think it's a fucking travesty of justice that South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut didn't make the list. But Ghost in the Shell from '94, Beavis and Butthead Do America, Ninja Scroll, The Thief and the Cobbler is by far probably one of the weirder and more underrated movies that didn't make this list. The Pebble and the Penguin, as Brandon said earlier, Cats Don't Dance was on my list. Rover Dangerfield, and last but not least, the 45-minute Christmas classic. No, not Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer, but Olive, the Other Reindeer.
Oh yeah.
And in the
forgot about
chat,
that.
and in the chat,
Never
we've
ever
got,
do a Christmas
Oh,
tree.
and Bebe's Kids. Yeah.
yeah. In the chat, like Chris pulled up Night Before Christmas, Cats Don't Dance, Hunchback, Lion King 2.
I'm surprised Nightmare didn't get brought up.
Leo brought up Beavis and Butthead Do America. Why Charlie Brown 2. Bebe's Kids.
Bebe.
But yeah, with that being said, I've already got what I want for 12
here.
down here. Jay, what do you have?
Yep.
An American Tale.
Richard.
I have Scooby-Doo.
Brandon.
American Tail, Father Goes West.
And I put Balto, but American Tail, Father Goes West is going to be 12. think I spelled five all wrong, but yeah. Richard,
That's how I spelled it.
What do you have for 11?
I'm sticking with Scooby-Doo.
Brandon,
Toy Story.
Balto, Jay.
I have Beauty and the Beast, but I'd like to change my answer to Toy Story.
Yeah, I'll allow it. I mean, I allowed people to do that on the biopics on last week. So, yeah. I have no idea why I actually erased my board. But Brandon, what do you have for 10?
Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost.
I'm sticking with Balto. Jay.
Sticking with Beauty and the Beast.
Richard.
Well, I switched it to Balto. No, I have Balto. Every time when I want to switch, it's like they always pick the one. Every time.
The problem with now being
So I'm just making sure my phone's at 14%, so I have it charged.
That's so good. The problem with having a mic now is it picks up every sound around it.
All right, I got my next. I'm ready.
But Jay, what do you have for 9?
Scooby-Doo.
Richard.
Scooby-Doo.
Brandon.
And Malcolm, can you give us a clean sweep, possibly? Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost?
I can.
Hey!
I mean, it was going to be the next one once Balto went. Just because with those are the ones I'm pretty sure I've seen as a kid, I just don't remember them that well. One of these days, I might have to do a Scooby-Doo, a full-on Scooby-Doo episode. But see how that goes.
Hey, Jay, which Scooby-Doo was the one where they teach at the monster school? That was one I really liked.
That was a Boo School.
Boo
That's
School.
That was like 84.
I love that one though. I'm not gonna lie.
That was probably my favorite one.
that shit gives me mad wacky racer vibes.
Oh yeah. That or the Reluctant Werewolf.
Yo, for real though.
I actually found that on DVD for $1 at the thrift store. And
Hey, there we go.
Oh, I snatched it up quick.
Richard, what do you have for 8?
I'm choosing that Studio Ghibli one. It's the one I haven't seen, so that's the one I'm choosing. Whatever the one that Jay picked, the Studio Ghibli one.
Princess Mononoke.
Yeah,
Brandon.
only because I haven't seen it.
Princess Mononoke.
You fucking whores.
I put the Iron Giant. Jay, what would you have put?
The Iron Giant.
So we've got a 2-way tie. So the first comment in the chat will decide it. So it's either Princess Mononoke or the Iron Giant that's going to be at 8.
The only reason I picked is because I haven't seen it.
That is fair.
Oh, I also had Ferngully the Last Rainforest as an honorable mention, but I picked a better version of it. You guys are trash. Fuck you both, Diaz and Logan. I don't know who Logan is, but you could. I hope your kneecaps catch COVID. That's not true. I don't.
That's terrible.
Hey, would you guys have counted Page Master as an anime movie?
No.
I mean, because the majority of it was animation. I was like,
No.
But the Page Master is in the same vein as Space Jam and James and John.
World.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
that's
didn't
fair.
want to push my.
That's why
I
you
didn't want to
mentioned
push my luck with it. That's why I didn't include it. I didn't want to push my luck.
You suck.
What's left?
What we have left is we have the Iron Giant, a Goofy movie, The Lion King, Prince of Egypt, Beauty and the Beast, Anastasia, and Mulan.
Okay.
Alright. Brandon, what do you have for 7?
The Iron Giant.
Sticking with the Iron Giant, Jay.
Beauty and the Beast. Y'all are giving this movie way too much credit.
Richard.
I say the Prince of Egypt.
But the Iron Giant is going to be 7.
That's painful.
Jay, what do you have for 6?
Board hasn't changed. Beauty and the Beast. Y'all are giving this movie way too much credit.
I went Prince of Egypt.
Brandon.
Anastasia.
I also went Anastasia. Richard, what do you have for 5?
I switched my board. Beauty and the Beast. It's good at 5.
Brandon.
The Lion King.
I put Mulan. Jay.
Beauty and the Beast. 4 spots way too high.
Disagree, but just to recap with what left, we got Mulan, Goofy Movie, The Lion King, and The Prince of Egypt. Brandon, what do you have for 4?
I changed it to Mulan.
I'm also sticking with Mulan. Jay.
The Lion King, the most overrated movie of the
Richard.
90s.
I still sticking with Prince of Egypt.
That Mulan's going to be at 4. But I have got
Yes, Chris, I know.
I've got a Goofy Movie at 3. Jay.
Lion King.
Richard.
Prince of Egypt.
Brandon.
Lion King.
Thank God it's off the fucking board.
But now we're going straight to number 1. But Jay, what is your number 1?
The Prince of Egypt.
Richard.
I can't watch Prince of Egypt over and over, but I can easily watch a Goofy movie over and over and still be entertained.
Brandon.
It is my most favorite movie of all time, a Goofy movie.
This is going to be interesting because I put a Prince of Egypt. So the chat's going to decide the number 1, Prince of Egypt or Goofy Movie. The first comment I see.
It's because the Goofy movie's a better movie than The Lion King, Chris. Jesus.
It's one of the most underrated movies of all time, too.
But it's Prince of Egypt is going to be the number 1 movie.
Ugh.
I'll take it.
I would rather it be Anastasia, but okay.
Y'all voted for it way too soon.
I didn't vote for it.
I'm just saying, it was voted for way too soon.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'll go back to it and regret voting for it earlier, but maybe I won't. But with that being said, this is our top 12 animated movies of the 90s. At 12, we've got An American Tale of Feeble Goes West. At 11, we've got Toy Story. At 10, we've got Balto. At 9, we've got Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost. At 8, we've got Princess Mononoke. At 7, we've got The Iron Giant. At 6, we've got Anastasia. At 5, we've got Beauty and the Beast. At 4, we've got Mulan. At 3, we've got The Lion King. At 2, we've got a Goofy movie. And number 1, we've got The Prince of Egypt. But with that being said, I've got the poll up for next week's episode up already. So so go vote on what you want next week's topic to be. Jay, we can people find you online.
You can't. Don't look for me. This was fun, Malcolm. Thanks, buddy.
Richard, we can people find you online.
Facebook, Richard Schwartz. YouTube, Twitter, under External Void. And, at home in LA or at work. Depending on if you know where I
On
work.
Twitch.
Good luck with that. I don't work at Twitch.
Brandon, where can people find you online?
Social media, Twitter, Instagram is Picola Asian. That's capital PCOLA, capital AZIAN. You can also, in terms of the trivia, you probably mostly will find me either in Combat Wrestling Trivia or Wrestling with Trivia. That Wrestling Trivia is on the channel Pierce Wrestling. Yep.
It actually, Chris mentioned something in the chat about the poll being interesting. For when I put all these the poll up thing, I didn't actually show what the Facebook poll said about our biopics list from last week. So it's interesting because the number one movie we had for biopics fell all the way down to number 8. But Social Network was the most voted, like Goodfellas.
Yikes.
But yeah, a lot of changes. Like the only 2 that stayed was our 2 and 3. So this one could be really interesting to see how this goes. But with that being said, you can find me on Take 3 where I host Rankum every Saturday. And occasionally on Sundays I do a late night. There isn't going to be one tomorrow because I haven't planned anything. You can also find me over on Full Metal where I host Full Metal Classic on Sundays. And you can see either Jay or Amaru hosting it on Thursday. We're on the road to Snowball. And you can find me hosting Formula Random. There'll be a Disney Animation Championship match happening at the end of the year. I'm hoping to get that recorded soon. But that being said, until next time, keep listening shit.